Here, and this is Smart Means Business. Thank you for keeping it on board, and thank you for watching us wherever you are. You can get me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Smart20 at Jerome Post Sonko. The other is a Smart24 TV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, if you do want to follow us in that particular one. Now we are headed into our general discussion of the day, and today we're actually looking at boosting SMEs with credit digitization. That is the SMEs, the small and micro, medium-sized businesses or enterprises in the country. How can we actually boost them with digitization? And in studio with me, I have the CEO from Social Lend Africa, and I think it is a warm pleasure to be having him in studio with us. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you for hosting me, Paul. Good morning, viewers.
And one would want to know what is Social Lend Africa and what do you do?
Well, Social Lend Africa is, first let me introduce myself. My name is MARVIN AKANKWASA, and I am the CEO and co-founder at Social Lend Africa. So basically we are a peer-to-peer finance platform which is focused on financing small businesses.
Okay.
And we have existed since June 2019 formally, but we existed long before that. And yeah.
So you're doing digital. Do you do digital financing, or it is just financing as general?
It's digital financing. So borrowers, small business owners can sign up with our mobile application, fill in an application within 3 minutes. Get someone to attend to them, a dedicated account manager, and then get financing in as little as 24 hours.
Oh.
Short-term financing, and it's unsecured.
Okay.
Yes.
And I would want to understand, can this digital, let's just dip into our conversation now, can digital technologies actually usher in a new era of growth and quality employment amongst the SMEs? Because we're now looking at how we can give them the credit through digitization.
Sure. Digitization is one of those fundamental discussions, and I think when we talk about SMEs, when we bring the two together, it becomes even more fundamental, because SMEs are, small businesses are big businesses. I like to say this. This is because the statistics suggest so. We are talking about 70% of our GDP being contributed to by small businesses. We're talking about 90% of employment opportunities in the private sector coming from small businesses, small, medium-sized businesses. So digitization is one of those areas which are definitely going to give small businesses a push, because basically digitization enables small businesses increase their productivity. It enables them be able to grow faster, to scale faster, and it also enables consumers of their services and goods be able to enjoy a higher quality of life. Why? The convenience that comes from the digitization of these businesses. You can be able to sign up on a mobile app and get a loan in 24 hours. I think that makes life simpler.
Yeah, it does.
Yes. So generally, we also need to look into the impact of COVID-19 on small businesses and how digitization can actually help them be resilient. Okay, that's also a very fundamental discussion. So, and I think generally we are not doing so well.
Why is that?
In terms of digitization. Well, there are policy issues around it. There are also, there's need for stakeholder engagement to bring all the stakeholders in this area together, in terms of the regulators, in terms of policymakers, in terms of startup entrepreneurs who are in technology, in terms of government at large. So there is a lot of work to be done in digitization. As you know, access to internet is quite low.
Yes.
It's very, very low.
Because of the high rates now that the government had to put.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I think with increased digitization, will come increased productivity. There is a report I was reading about African economies adding 2% to their GDPs by simply digitizing the way they do things, especially for small businesses, knowing that they account for over 70% of the economy. So this is a very, very fundamental discussion, especially around this time when we are grappling with the effects of COVID-19.
Okay. And that particular one, I would want to understand, are there securities attached to it? Because when someone is going to apply for a loan, I want to see how sure are you, because in this digital era, you would see that maybe someone is going to apply for a loan, and sometimes it may be a very huge one that would need assurance that he's going to pay back. So what are those level of securities? What kind of securities are they supposed to give out to actually hand over to, let me say, social land Africa before they actually get these digital loans?
So the idea of financing small businesses is that you don't have to focus on collateral because they don't have it.
Yes.
That is the very first challenge they face. They don't have collateral, they are starting out. And so what we do is we simply get into their business. We study their business. We get into their cash flows and analyze them. If they don't have any record of cash flows, we help them generate such records. We get into their inventory. We want to understand, how does your stock move, you know, if you're a merchant. If you're not a merchant, we want to understand how you offer your services and if you have enough professionals and things like that. Then we also want to understand if you have books of accounts. We want to understand the whole flow of the business, you know, the whole process of.
So in sometimes you want to help them grow.
Absolutely. So if we understand your revenue, your income, we certainly don't need collateral. Okay. Yes, we shall give you we shall lend you money according to your capacity to pay back.
So that means if at all someone is actually is going to start up a business, they can still come to you. Well, because I want to see, there is someone out there who wants to start up a small scale business. Maybe he has been employed somewhere and he has some small startup capital, but it's not able to facilitate them. Can they still apply?
Well, Paul, it's always best for us to see that you have moved a mile or a step.
Oh, that you've at least started out.
You've at least started out, then we can come in and assist.
Because it can at least give you a clear guideline that this person is serious with business.
Absolutely.
Okay, now if we are to focus on, let's focus now on the policies which can enable SMEs to actually achieve the digital technologies that are going to boost their growth.
Well, the policy issue is quite deep. And like I said, it involves bringing all stakeholders on the table to discuss, first of all, to appreciate the challenges. What challenges do SMEs face? We already have an SME policy, but I do not think it has been updated. Then we need to now take it to the digital side, because the world is moving digital. So the policies should now focus on digitizing SMEs. So definitely they should be looking into things like access to internet. How do we improve our broadband infrastructure? You know, I mean, there is a trader or a merchant somewhere in Kungu or somewhere in Katwe. They have even never held a smartphone, probably because the smartphone is expensive, that's number one. But two, internet is also very expensive to access. So if we could formulate policies that kind of, reduce the cost of accessing internet, then I think it would be much easier to bring everyone on board. And so I think we should look into that area. We should also look into skills. We need digital skills. In school, we were not taught about digital skills, but I think this is now very important to add to our curriculums. You know, people need to come out of school appreciating how to use basic technology, very basic technology. I mean, appreciating how to use, for instance, an Excel, or, you find guys who don't even know how to use Excel. But these are very important tools in running a business. You have got to be able to put in your figures and appreciate your business. So tooling and skilling is very important in terms of going digital. digital tooling and skilling. So I think those are areas policy needs to look into, because it has to be deliberate. It will not happen accidentally. It has to be really, really deliberate.
Okay. Yes. And if we're talking about the policies, do you think, are they even, because I want to understand if we're talking about digitization in a way that is possible, we would want to see that, have you got any good any positive feedback from some of the SMEs? Are they even willing to actually tap into the sector of digitization? Because people have quite some huge challenges. Like you've mentioned that some people don't even know how to use Excel, and which is a challenge, but then you cannot maybe say blame it on them, but then sometimes on the curriculum. But I want to see, is there any positivity that you've received as the social in Africa in regards to people applying for these loans in a digital format?
Definitely, there is a positive response. Of the over 384 small businesses we are working with, we have seen a willingness. Admittedly, many of them are offline. You know, they don't own smartphones. They don't even think it's important. Okay. But we are trying to work with them to be able to afford a smartphone. For instance, if we look at your revenues and realize that for sure you can squeeze something off for a smartphone, we advise you to do it. So at the end of the day, they are coming on board, and they are learning. People are learning how to use technologies. Because you see, like I said, the pandemic showed us that if we do not adopt things like digital payments, if we don't adopt things like e-commerce, ordering for things online, then we are not going to stay afloat, because we were locked in our houses. So how exactly did you expect customers or consumers to access your products? So this is how we reason with them, and they're like, oh, so something like this can come up again. I need to be prepared, you know. So this is how we enable them to get online, be able to sell their goods on maybe Instagram. Of course, Facebook has had a few challenges, and Twitter and all these other platforms. So first of all, we go with the basics. You don't want to rush them too much. Start with a smartphone, sell your goods, open a page online, sell your goods.
As you're monitoring?
Yes, okay. Definitely. Then we can move into more complex things like softwares to help you actually generate books of accounts, you know. Okay. This is very simple. They just need to maybe put in their sales, you know, put in their current inventory, and then the software is able to generate for them financial statements, able to generate for them, you need this kind of inventory by tomorrow. So that is a step that we are going into. But for now, we are starting with the basics, and they are forthcoming. I
can only understand it's quite difficult to sensitize a businessman who is, let me say, someone who is running this business to actually turn business digital, when they know if I have my simple, small phone, I will actually carry out my calculations. Because most of the people who have money, you would agree that most of them don't even save in the banks. Most of them save it maybe in stocking. Some people have them in back
under
home,
their mattress.
Under the mattresses, and they feel it is quite safer there. Yeah. Which is that is why I had to actually ask. But what I did not, what I actually forgot to ask mainly, I want you to first take us through the credit digitization, like the serious processes of credit digitization. How does it work?
Basically, when we are talking about digitization of financial services, generally, yes, there are different components. There is credit, there is payments, there is insurance, what they call insurtech. So it's a whole ecosystem. But when we talk about credit, we look at it because startups in the ecosystem have built models around these small components of businesses to be able to finance them. So what do I mean? I'm talking about a startup building a model around cash flow financing. So we can study your cash flows, and when we realize that your financial reserves are being depleted, we jump in. Okay? Because we know that you have the revenue. We know that that money will be replenished. Then we are looking at inventory management. There are startups which are enabling small business owners, merchants, to order for goods on credit, you know, from them, of course. And this is also a component that they are looking into. Then we are also looking at, so it's small bits of small businesses that we are looking into. Credit is a very wide area that we're trying to tackle. But we need to first appreciate that these people need to be sensitized, they need to be educated, they need to be skilled. So we are talking about generally, our core strategy is financial inclusion. And that comes with educating small business owners on how to adopt these technologies to enable them access credit. Because it's actually in their best interest. That's what we show them. Even when they are skeptical, you need to formalize a few aspects of your business. You need to do this and that for you to be able to access credit. Yes. And
you said you were here since 2019?
Yeah, formally.
Formally?
Yes, but we started operating a little earlier.
Now the formal is where you have to come into the registration?
Yes, registering and getting a license.
Okay. And I want to see, normally I believe in, I love results, I don't know why, but before I even engage into certain things, I love seeing results and what happens. If you have to look back into the years that you've actually been operating, how many people have, if you would see the success that you've achieved at Social Land Africa, in terms of crediting out in the digitization, have you been centered mainly on SMEs? Because someone out there may think maybe you can also offer the bigger platforms. So why were you more centered with the small platforms, if I may say?
Well, yes, we are focused on SMEs. And essentially, that focus comes from my experience as a founder.
Okay.
At a certain point in my university days, I was running a fast foods business to get along. But and I had gotten passionate about it, but along the way it failed.
As you were running with it?
Yes, it failed. Why? Because of cash flow constraints. It ran out of money, and there is no bank which could give me money.
Because your business was just...
At the time, I didn't have any collateral, and our books of accounts were not really appealing to the banks and to other financial institutions. So this is why we said, you know what, our focus should be on building the small guys, because after all, like I said, they are the largest chunk of the economy. So they need all the help, all the assistance financially, and in all other ways that they can get. Yes, so this is why we took that direction of small businesses.
Okay. As if at all you're just joining us, we're looking at how we can boost SMEs with credit digitization, because simply most of the businesses are turning to the e-commerce sector. Most of the businesses are now adapting to tap into digital spaces. And I'm here with the CEO from Land, is it?
Social Land.
Social Land Africa. I picked up the land clearly. I'm going in for a short break, but when we return, I have more questions that we're going to be discussing about. One, which includes how can these SMEs be digitized, and also which strategies can be laid on board to see that we promote their development. We are promoting a development. Which development? Of the SMEs, the small and medium-sized enterprises, clearly here on Smart 24 TV. Keep it SMB.